Hey everybody, it's time for the Week 7 preview show. Hey everybody, I'm coming to you from my dining room this week. Um, for the Week 7 preview show, we are going to talk about the Week 6 matchups, take a look at the updated standings and power rankings after Week 6. We'll do stat of the week, and then we'll look ahead to the Week 7 matchups, so it should be a good time. Here's a look at our Week 6 matchups. In our first one, we had Jonna's team, Brothel Nutcracker, getting a victory over Tony's team, Homosexual Tendencies. Jonna won this matchup 84.8 to 81. Jonna was led in scoring, actually got almost half of her points from No Sean Moreno with 35.4. And Tony had a more balanced attack, but still got the loss this week, and he was led in scoring by LaShawn McCoy with 17.1. Both teams are now 2-4. In our second matchup, we had Ring's team pulling off the very slight victory over Mom's team, 126.6 to 125.4. This one was an extremely close matchup. Ring was led in scoring by Marshawn Lynch with 31.5, and Mom was led in scoring by Vincent Jackson with 32.4. It's a pretty tough loss for Mom here. That only comes down to about a 2-yard catch, separates each team, but good matchup nonetheless. Both teams are now 3-3. The next matchup was the sibling rivalry, and Katie took this one home 129.4 to 120.5 over Brady. Katie was led in scoring by Jamal Charles, who just continues having his monster of a season with 29.8 points, and Brady was led in scoring by Jordy Nelson with 26.3. So Katie moves to pretty solid 4-2 on the season, while Brady falls to 1-5. Our final matchup, we saw my team, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, completely wallop Josh's team, 121.7 to 71.3. Definitely didn't think I'd be winning this matchup by 50 points. I didn't even think I'd win this matchup at all, so I'll take it though. Definitely good for my team to get that victory, and it's nice to see that Josh's team is human. So I moved to 5-1 on the season, and Josh falls to 4-2. Here's an updated look at the standings after Week 6. In the East Division, my team is still in first place with a 5-1 record. I was the only team from this division to win over the weekend, so I increased my lead over the weekend, so that makes me pretty happy. In second place is Mom's team with a 3-3 record. Third place in the East is Tony's team, Homosexual Tendencies, with a 2-4 record. And wrapping up the East is Brady's team with a 1-5 record. In the West Division, we now have a two-way tie for first. Katie and Josh both have a 4-2 record, although if there were a tiebreaker, Josh would take it because he has scored more points. So Josh is technically first and Katie's technically second. In third place, after winning his third matchup in a row, is Ring's team, Nutcracker's Bitch, with a 3-3 record. And wrapping up the West Division is Jonna's team, Brothel Nutcracker, with a 2-4 record. Here is a look at the Week 6 power rankings. There was a lot of movement this week. Even though Josh lost and doesn't have the best record, he still retains his number one spot. He still scored by far the most points in the league. So no change there for the 6th straight week. Josh is number one. Katie moves up a spot this week with her victory. She's now in second place with a 4-2 record. Even though I did beat Josh, I fell to third this week. I have a 5-1 record, but Katie has scored more points than me, so that's kind of a toss-up between second and third there. So in fourth place, moving up a spot from last week, is Ring's team, Nutcracker's Bitch, with a 3-3 record. In fifth place, we have Mom's team, also with a 3-3 record. He moved up 2 spots from last week. In sixth place, moving down 2 spots from last week, is Brady's team. My other team is worse. He has scored the second most points in the league and somehow still has a 1-5 record. So don't exactly know how that's happening, but maybe if he starts winning some matchups, he'll move up in the power rankings. But we'll have to see how his team goes from here. In 7th place, moving down a spot from last week, is Tony's team, Homosexual Tendencies. And wrapping up the power rankings yet again is Jonna's team, Brothel Nutcracker, with a 2-4 record. Now it's time for the week 6 stat of the week. I didn't really have a stat of the week last week, so I'll do 2 this week and make up for it. Our first one comes from the matchup between my team and Josh's team. As you saw earlier, Josh scored 71.3 points in that matchup, which is actually the third lowest score ever in the 3 years that we've been doing this league. There have been 150 matchups between the regular season and playoffs in the 3 years that this league's been in existence, which means that there's obviously been 300 scores that have been tallied. So of those 300, in week 1 this season, Josh actually scored the highest score that's ever been scored, and this week he scored the third lowest. So of the 300 scores this season alone, Josh has number 1 and number 298. So I think that shows how crazy fantasy football can be, and you just kind of never know what's going to happen. So one week you can have an amazing week, and then just a few weeks later you can have the shittiest week you could imagine. So that is the first stat of the week, and the second stat of the week comes from the matchup between Jonna and Tony. As you saw earlier, Jonna won this matchup by just a few points, but the stat of the week is that she won this matchup and actually had 3 of her 9 players score 0 points. So a third of her team didn't even play, essentially, and she won this matchup. I think even more impressive is that between her flex player, Danny Amendola, her 2 wide receivers, Cecil Shorts and Mike Williams, her tight end, Garrett Graham, and the Texans defense, so 5 of her 9 players, they only combined for a total of 6.6 points. So that just blows me away that over half of her team could combine for only 6.6 points and she could still win this matchup. Tony actually only had 1 player that scored below 6.6 points, and somehow he lost. So that just seems absolutely crazy. I don't know how it happened, but congrats to John anyway on the victory. I guess you got to take what you can get. So got to feel bad for Tony on that one. But I guess in the end, that's fantasy football for you, and I guess that's why we play the game. So again, congrats to Jonna, and man, Tony, I'm sorry for that. That just really, really blows. So that is the week 6 stat of the week. Here's a look at the week 7 matchups. In our first one, we've got Tony's team, homosexual tendencies, against Josh's team, Team Vajayjays. Tony enters this matchup at 2-4, and Josh is 4-2. Looks like Josh is probably favored in this matchup, but we'll have to see if Tony can redeem himself after last week and get a victory this week. In our second matchup, we've got Malm's team, Show Me Your TDs, against Katie's team, You're in Trouble. Malm is 3-3, and Katie is 4-2. And the early projections look like they favor Katie's team, but if I had to predict it, I'd probably say Malm pulls off the upset this week. So we'll have to see how that one goes. In our third matchup, we've got my team, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, against Ring's team, Nutcracker's Bitch. Pretty interesting matchup to me this week. I'm 5-1, and Ring has won his last 3, so Ring's making a fight, and I'll have to see if I can fend him off and go 6-1 in the season. And our final matchup is between Brady's team, My Other Team Is Worse, against Jonna's team, Brothel Nutcracker. Brady is somehow 1-5 on the season, but I think if he's going to make a push to the playoffs, I think it's going to start this week. So we'll have to see how it pans out, but those are the week 7 matchups.